So the battle over Joe Biden's cabinet is just beginning, but AOC is coming in with a dire warning for Biden that if he stacks his cabinet full of neoliberal ghouls like Rahm Emanuel, there's going to be a fight. In the New York Times, they were covering Biden's cabinet challenge, how he has to find space for the diversity of the Democratic coalition and deal with the likely reality that he might need Republican support to put any cabinet member at all into cabinet because the Republicans are likely, not guaranteed, but likely going to control the Senate for the next couple years at least. And AOC is saying that while she recognizes that, who Biden puts into cabinet will be perhaps the most powerful early signal of how he intends to govern. I'm going to read you a paragraph from this reporting. I think that's what people are keeping an eye out for. Is this administration going to be actively hostile and try to put in appointments that are going to just quash progressives and organizing? Ms. Ocasio-Cortez said. I don't envy the Biden team. It's a very delicate balance, but I think it's really important to strike a good one because it sends a very, very powerful message on the intention to govern. And that's crucial. Look, you're not going to get the entire cabinet you want. We tried to elect Bernie. We fell short. That would have been a far more progressive cabinet. But Biden wouldn't be president without people like AOC and Bernie Sanders and black organizers and environmentalists and young people and working class people, trade unionists. And so those people need to be in cabinet, 100%. And if they're not in cabinet, and if they're not in cabinet in sufficient numbers, then it will be a signal, and a strong one, that Biden is basically throwing away the very base that got him elected. And that's not going to be a productive start to a broad coalition relationship needed to defeat the Republicans in 2022 and in 2024. So this matters. And AOC isn't necessarily offering a ton of, must-have picks to Biden. She's actually being pretty flexible. But she does signal out that someone like Rahm Emanuel, former Obama cabinet member and mayor of Chicago, and just all-around awful corporate Democrat, has no place in the cabinet and will be an example of someone that, if picked, is going to really anger the left. And I'm going to read you again some words from AOC. Ms. Ocasio-Cortez said she expected a long-term fight, particularly given the setbacks for Democrats in congressional contests. She also cited cabinet appointments as a way to measure Mr. Biden's ideological core. She said some people, including Mr. Emanuel, should not play a role in the party's future. The former mayor has been floated by some in Mr. Biden's inner circle to lead a department like housing or transportation. Quote, someone like Rahm Emanuel would be a pretty divisive pick, she said, citing his record as mayor on racial justice and his opposition to teachers' unions. Quote, and it would signal, I think, a hostile approach to the grassroots and to the progressive wing of the party, end quote. And I think that's 100% reasonable. Look, you're not going to get a full progressive cabinet. That's not who Biden is. And it's likely the case that through a mixture of looking at which senators will be replaced by Republican governors and, the narrow congressional majority, meaning that you don't want to pull too many people out of Congress, and the fact that, yes, you might need Mitch McConnell's support to get somebody into cabinet. I get it. You're not going to get the cabinet you want and the cabinet Americans deserve. But you don't have to put in absolute awful human beings like Rahm Emanuel. There's other moderates, there's other people that lean slightly progressive that would be better and wouldn't be so openly spitting in the face of progressives, of people pursuing racial justice, of the African American community, of teachers and working class people. And so you don't have to pick Emanuel. And AOC is referencing Laquan McDonald, and she did that on Twitter in response to this article being tweeted out by New York Times journalists when she said Laquan McDonald's life mattered. And basically, he was, taken down by the police in a totally unjust manner, and Rahm Emanuel effectively covered the whole sordid affair up to help his chances of getting reelected as mayor over a progressive challenger a few years ago in Chicago. And it all came out after he was reelected and therefore, couldn't really be held accountable by the voters. And what AOC is saying matters. Whether we're talking about teachers or young black men, Their lives, their experiences, their needs, their concerns, they matter. And when you put someone like Rahm Emanuel in cabinet, you're signaling to the very people that made your administration possible that you're using them, you're chewing them, and you're spitting them out. And that's what's happening. That's what would happen if you put Rahm Emanuel into cabinet. Look, Biden can do what he wants. And he can, if he gets enough senators through a mixture of the two parties, put basically anybody he wants in the cabinet anywhere. But if he's sincere about building some sort of coalition that can get something done and actually build unity towards a better and more progressive future, which is supposedly what Biden wants to do. He's often said, yes, I'm not a socialist, but I am running on one of the most progressive platforms in American history. Then you have to keep some of those people out. There are people whose role in the Democratic Party through recent history has been so destructive that they cannot be a part of the party going forward. Rahm Emanuel is one of those people. Leave him to whine and moan about AOC and actual progressives on the talk show circuit, on the pundit circuit, but do not give that man one lick of power again. If you do, it's going to be the start of a great big fight.